am so happy that you're here today because I'm diving into Love is Blind, episode 6. I am Dr. Pam, therapist and passionate couples counselor, and one of the biggest takeaways from the episode is conflict can make or break a relationship. So stay tuned because I'm going to walk you through conflict do's and don'ts and so many teachable moments throughout this entire episode. For example, what happens when actions don't speak as loudly as words and you need both to feel truly loved? And sometimes a single comment at a party can reveal cracks in a relationship you didn't even know existed. And why does sharing your side of conflict with friends often make things worse rather than better? And finally, what if the very quality that drew you to your partner in the first place becomes the one thing that drives you apart? So let's start with Taylor and Garrett, who have done a great job building a solid foundation in their relationship. But I do have a few suggestions on how they can take their relationship further.
I need the actions to come because women hear a lot of words, but I need a lot of actions.
I wish she had shared which actions hold meaning for her and ask how he feels about them. People often assume something like he might think that coming home on time shows care, while she might value something entirely different. For example, she could say, "I feel loved when you help with tasks around the house," or "It means a lot when you handle vacation planning." Since actions hold different meanings for everyone, clarifying what feels meaningful and ensuring he's comfortable doing it can prevent misunderstandings and those "but I told you" arguments.
And we're going to handle pressure differently.
Well, how do you think that would look? How much are we willing to compromise for one another, and is it worth it to each of us? And we know there's love there. We know that there's a strong passion for one another, but is that enough? Right now, I can say 100%. I feel yes, I'm willing and ready to change my life for you.
I also wish they had discussed how each of them handles pressure. It's great that they discuss the decisions they'll need to make, but the way that a person deals with pressure can significantly impact a relationship. One more thing that I noticed. I believe her when she says she needs actions, but she also needs words. When he questioned if their relationship was worth it, her unsettled expression was clear even through her sunglasses. Yet when he reassured her with words about being ready to change his life for her, it gave her the comfort she needed. The takeaway is this: balancing actions and words is what we need to build trust and connection. Okay, on to Marissa and Ramses, who are making the biggest mistake that couples make all the time.
So we probably could definitely use some dance lessons.
Before the wedding.
Before the
make sure we
wedding.
get those pasitos right.
Instead of doing a first dance waltz, it could be a first dance
like
salsa.
A salsa, merengue. I mean, I feel like merengue and bachata might be a little easier.
That would be better.
Couples often get caught up in the excitement of planning a wedding, focusing on the details like Ramses and Marissa are doing, planning dance lessons. But what is missing is that they are not having deeper conversations that truly strengthen their relationship. Things like how they handle conflict, manage finances, or support each other through challenges. These conversations not only prepare couples for a married life, but also help them build that trust and understanding needed for a lasting relationship. Remember, a beautiful wedding is just one day, but a strong relationship is for a lifetime. And this is the next big mistake that couples make in the beginning of a relationship.
Obviously, last night was a lot of fun.
It was.
And obviously, you have a great physical connection. And it's just it's crazy.
Getting better and better. I feel so good about us.
I do too, yeah. Our connection that we have, which I feel is super deep.
They're gonna
we
feel the
look really
love.
good together.
They're gonna feel the love.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, this girl is hooked.
Sex is obviously an important part of a relationship, but that rush of happy hormones creates a feeling like an euphoric high, making us believe that those feelings will last forever. Ramses and Marissa are clearly in a state of bliss, and part of that bliss is that we feel seen, loved, and accepted for who we are in a completely positive way. This is an altered reality because that's unrealistic in the early stages of a relationship. They haven't even faced conflict yet. Having conflict successfully is one of the biggest indicators that you are in a healthy relationship. And while they believe that their relationship is deep, real depth takes time and comes from navigating healthy conflict together. If they understood that this high is temporary and recognized the influence of those happy hormones, they could just enjoy their physical connection while also focusing on building a stronger emotional and relational foundation. Okay, next, Tyler and Ashley, and I'm going to show you one thing that they are spot on about and one thing that they need to look at a bit different.
Yeah. You never know who comes out of woodworks.
They might say I'm crazy.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Sorry. Who's not? I know you.
Yeah.
And there's nothing anyone can say about you. For me, like, you don't know half the shit I know about her. I guarantee it.
I want to protect this, you know, and I don't want like life or work or like money or like anything or just like anything. Family, friends, opinions, not even my mom.
Ashley wants to protect their relationship from the impact of life and work and money, which is understandable, but unrealistic. These challenges affect every relationship. What they are spot on about is avoiding advice from loved ones. And I want to say that that is especially true when it comes to when the two of you have conflict. Loved ones, they naturally will side with the person that they are closest to. And while this is understandable, it can ultimately be counterproductive for your relationship because it may prevent a fair and supportive perspective for your partner and ultimately for you as a couple. Later on in this video, I'm going to show you an example when Hannah talks with Marissa and Nick talks with Garrett, and I'm going to show you how that can have a negative impact. Okay, let's talk about Tim and Alex. In my last video, I discussed how she describes herself as bossy and he describes himself as immovable. And this dynamic is starting to show early signs of power struggles in their relationship.
I think I might like this one. This might be, I feel it.
I don't.
Good.
I don't feel it at all.
I love that you don't. So how does it feel like being around me, instead of just like staring at a wall wondering?
I hate your taste in fashion.
Good. Why you hate on my style so much? What did my style do to you?
Oh, I love it. I just love picking up.
Her bossy side comes through when she says, I don't feel it at all. And then he responds with, good. It seems that he enjoys being oppositional and he will dig his heels in even further if she expresses something that she dislikes. In fact, he seems inclined to do things he may not even want to do simply to oppose her. And then conflict erupts. And I'm going to show you what they did well and what they could have done differently. And after breaking down their conflict, I'll show you a concerning comment that Tim said to Nick at a party. But first, the conflict.
All I know is we just left this party, everything seemed fine.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the energy is off.
Right.
And I'm asking you what's wrong and like, I'm not getting much back.
The only thing I could think about was going back to the room, taking like a long ass shower and going to bed. It's not that I don't want to be here. It's not that I want to be around you. No, I just miss home. That's it. I could have explained it more and I probably should have, but I just didn't feel like talking about it.
If they were in session with me, I would dive deeper into her experience at the party to understand what might have prompted him to repeatedly ask her what was wrong when he sensed something was going on for her. My intuition suggests that her feelings go beyond simply missing home. While she may be homesick, there's likely something more beneath the surface, possibly even something that she's not fully aware of. I observed their interactions at the party, and I have a theory about what might have upset her, which I'll share with you shortly. But first, let's continue unpacking their conflict.
I mean, we know what happened after that, so.
I would like to apologize if I came off like I was angry or upset, but I felt very shunned in the moment. I started to feel very unheard and like I couldn't complete a sentence without it getting cut off. I started to feel very, very disrespected.
When I covered your mouth, I feel like that made it even worse, because I guess it was like me trying to control you in a sense, but I just wanted you to stop being upset.
It's hard to know how intense and hurtful this argument really got. For example, he left the room for the night, but was that because it was incredibly hurtful or because he wanted to avoid conflict altogether? His apology wasn't a true apology. Saying, if I came off as angry or upset, doesn't express genuine remorse. When you apologize, it's important to show regret for how you hurt the other person. And his words didn't do that. Instead, he immediately went right into explaining how he felt. That being said, he did a good job sharing his feelings. He didn't attack or accuse. He said he felt shunned, unheard, and disrespected, which is exactly how you want to communicate your hurt to your partner. And Alex doesn't take full responsibility for covering his mouth. She does acknowledge that it was controlling, but she doesn't acknowledge how that impacted him. And yes, it was controlling. And physically touching someone in an attempt to control them during conflict has the potential to escalate things and make the argument even more intense. And if she wanted him to stop being upset, she must learn how to de-escalate an argument rather than trying to control it and silence him.
And it kept getting thrown back in my face saying, oh, you're insecure. And I'm like, I'm trying to talk. You told me those were my insecurities speaking.
I said I have insecurities that I have going on in my head.
No, but you were saying that my insecurities were speaking.
Oh, because when you thought that whatever my issue was had to do with you.
At that point, you are not even letting me communicate. You're not letting me talk.
There were times where, yes, I did cut you off. You were assuming a lot of things of how I felt and what was going on in my mind. And it literally just like irritated me so much because I'm just like, I don't know how to talk to you right now. You just kept yelling and you're just like, okay, speak. And I just like, I felt belittled.
I apologize for how things happen, but you can't talk and listen at the same time. I started talking and I kept getting cut off. So I was like, okay, I'll stop, but please speak. I wasn't saying it in a disrespectful way either.
That's the problem. What you think is disrespectful is different from what I think is disrespectful. You don't think what you were saying or doing was disrespectful because that wasn't the intent behind it. But to me, it was disrespectful.
It's funny, isn't it, how we can rewrite the narrative regarding conflict. I am pretty sure that if he was angry, and he did admit that he was angry, that he didn't say, please speak. What they did right, though, here was she clearly articulated that they likely view respect different, and he acknowledges that that's fair. In the next clip, they show us an unsettling dynamic that many couples experience in conflict.
Like, if I remove myself, it's out of respect. If I need my space, give me my space.
That's fine. And when it actually left, I thought you really weren't coming back. The way you were just like, packed all your stuff and leaving, that's a different, like, giving space. That was, I'm never coming back.
That line was crossed. There are lines with me that you don't cross.
This is a huge issue in relationships. He claims, and I say claims because I don't fully understand his reasoning, that he was leaving as a way of showing respect to her when he needed space. Perhaps he worried that staying might lead him to becoming increasingly hurtful, which is understandable. However, the point she made is such a good insight. Leaving isn't the same as giving space. By leaving, he wasn't just stepping away for a breather. He was communicating that he was done and wasn't coming back. That kind of message is deeply upsetting and can feel like a threat of abandonment, which will only escalate conflict. Instead, he could have said something like, I need some space, but can we talk more about this tomorrow when we're both feeling calmer and clearer? This would have given her the reassurance that she needed while still honoring his need for space. But then he added that a line was crossed, which makes me question his claim that he was leaving out of respect for her. It seems more likely that he felt done with the whole situation and maybe relationship entirely. In this next clip, she makes a big mistake.
Come here, come closer.
I would rather not. I will tell you that when I came in here, I came with the full intention that this was probably going to be the last conversation we ever had.
It would have been better if she had given him the space he was asking for. When she said, come closer, and he said, I would rather not, he was clearly letting her know that he wasn't ready. If you look at his face in that moment, he is completely shut down, emotionally unavailable, and unable to engage. Her instinct to hold on to him may have come from a desire to hold on to the relationship, but it doesn't work that way. Trying to physically connect with someone who is emotionally numb will only push them further away, and it will reinforce the disconnection rather than repairing it. What's important here is that there is a big difference between space and abandonment. Space is about temporarily stepping back to reset and approach the conflict with a clearer mind, while abandonment sends the message of giving up or walking away entirely. When couples confuse the two, it leads to heightened anxiety, and it escalates the conflict instead of attempting to resolve it. And both partners need to recognize and respect each other's emotional states while finding ways to communicate their needs more clearly. Oh, okay, and I told you that I would share with you 2 concerns that I had at the party about Tim and Alex. Here was the first one with Tim.
Have y'all argued?
No, we ain't never had no issue. It's always cool.
That's what you're looking for.
I tell her, like, I hate small shit. I don't like arguing about nothing small.
Obviously, this happened before conflict, and Tim believes that his relationship with Alex will always remain easygoing and free of conflict. And Nick reinforces this idea by telling Tim that's exactly what you want in a relationship. However, not only is this not realistically, but it is not what you want. Conflict is necessary. It might sound ideal to be in a relationship where you don't have conflict, but your relationship will lack the depth and the growth that can come from navigating those challenges together. When conflict is handled in a healthy and mature way, you will experience personal growth, and it will strengthen your relationship. And this is what I think may have upset Alex the night of the party, whether she realizes it or not.
What's your favorite quality about our girl, Alex?
I love that she ain't scared.
Scared of what?
Period.
Because she know.
We don't know. You're on interrogation.
I love just being out and about with Alex, and she knows that I'm going to talk my shit, and she can talk her shit back. If I push, don't be scared to push back. I love it.
If someone asked my husband what he loves about me and his response was she's not afraid of me, I would be deeply upset. For one, that response says nothing about who I am as a person and what makes me unique. And second, why would anyone frame love as the absence of fear? Love should be about respect and connection and appreciation, not a lack of fear. What's more, I don't think Tim genuinely wants to be challenged despite what he tells himself. He might believe that he wants a strong, confident partner, but his actions suggest otherwise. When conflict or challenges start, his reaction is to withdraw or shut down rather than to lean into the growth and connection that can come from addressing those difficulties together. And Tim gives plenty of reasons for someone to fear being vulnerable with him, even if it's unintentional. His emotionally unpredictable behavior and ready to jump ship at the first sign of challenges will create an unstable foundation for any relationship. Emotional safety requires a partner who is willing to work through and stay in those difficulties with you, because that's what will create trust. Tim's willingness to leave makes Alex feel unsafe. Okay, next, Stephan and Monica, here we go. Unfortunately, the concern that I had about Stephan back in the pods is now starting to become clear to Monica.
I was saying, Monica is very focused on like 5 steps. She understands that we need to make moves for the future, and I'm very deep-rooted in the moment. And it's a very good balance, because you are going to be able to sit there and say, hey, this is how we should plan things out, you know, just because all it does is sort of by being chatty again.
Literally cannot get a word in. It's very hard for me. I'm like, really trying to like, what you have to say, but like, I have to share the space. Seriously, it's funny, but it's like kind of not getting funny.
Stephan continues to talk endlessly, just as he did in the pods. As I have mentioned in previous videos, he doesn't ask Monica questions about her or show genuine interest in her thoughts and feelings. Instead, he just talks and talks and talks, and in a philosophical way, which can feel disconnected and impersonal in a relationship. In the pods, Monica said that she loved that he was chatty, but I questioned in that video why she found that appealing at that time. Now it's becoming clear that what initially seemed charming is backfiring. She doesn't love it anymore. This teaches us an important point about relationships. Qualities that seem attractive early on, especially viewed through the lens of novelty and excitement, can later become sources of frustration if they don't align with deeper emotional needs. For Monica, Stephan's constant talking might now feel less like a connection and more like a barrier, preventing her from being truly seen and heard. Okay, let's move on to Nick and Hannah, where there is so much to unpack with them. We're dealing with issues of inauthenticity, rewriting the story about what really happened with the ducks, and both of them questioning the future of their relationship. Here we go. Remember the ducks? This is Hannah's version of what happened.
The girl was like, oh, looks like your girl's just a jealous little bitch. Yeah, and Nick just laughed. Listen, I'm not like naturally a jealous person, but like, don't do that, because I respect you and you gotta respect me.
Yeah.
And that's not very respectful.
Yeah, I would have lost my shit.
Remember earlier when I mentioned the risk of sharing your side of conflict with those who care about you? Here's the problem. First thing, the girl did not say that Hannah was a jealous little bitch. Watch.
She's jealous. Don't be jealous.
See how easy it is to rewrite our experience? Like I said, the woman did not call her a bitch. It takes on a very different meaning if she would have called her a bitch. And the problem with telling your friends your version is that they respond in a way that confirms your reason for being angry. Marissa says she would have lost her shit. And Hannah says she was being respectful to Nick, but if you watched my last video, I showed you how she shamed him. Shaming is not respecting. And then there's Nick's version.
It was so minuscule, bro. Like literally, like I hopped on the horse. Some older women wanted to ride it with me. We did it for 5 yards, and she was pissed about it, bro.
That sounds like the impetus for like, these were things I was already thinking.
Nick tells the story as if he was completely innocent, but the truth is he was being flirty and encouraging the woman to ride with him.
Yeah? You want to come ride with me? Yeah, come on. Come on.
The main issue with sharing the conflict that you've had with your partner with your friends is that your friends are only hearing your version of the story. Naturally, they'll support your perspective, but that version is likely not the full story. Without even realizing it, you could be sharing a version of the story that isn't completely accurate. This happens all the time. And then your friends might unintentionally reinforce your position, which will root you even stronger in your perspective, often at the expense of your partner and ultimately at the expense for the two of you, because most likely you want things to work out. But if your friends unknowingly reinforce your position, you will feel less open to understanding the side of your partner. So before I break down the challenging conflict that Nick and Hannah had, let me just remind you that this happened.
Hannah wrote down a note of like 10 things on our little table on our nightstand. It was like a list of 10 things.
It's
like,
out in the open.
Right. It was like too into his feelings, question mark, mature, question.
Okay, so now we're dealing with two issues. First, the unresolved feelings about the duck incident. And second, there's the list that Hannah made about Nick and left it out in the open. If leaving the list out in the open was intentional, it is a clear example of passive-aggressive behavior. But first, the discussion around the ducks. And what I'm going to share with you happens all the time in relationships.
That was upsetting. Do you understand why I was upset though?
Yeah, I mean, do you understand my perspective though?
I do, but like,
it
you understand,
didn't mean
like,
anything?
sometimes you just like piss me off, like the way you act, because I just want you to respect me, because I respect you so much.
How do I not respect you?
I know, but a woman's talking shit, and you're just like sitting there giggling. Do you know how it would make me feel that?
That means nothing. That was so like irrelevant.
For me, like trust and like respect is a big thing. Like,
It hurts me that you think I was disrespecting you though, because I was so like pointless and meaningless.
to you. I understand your viewpoint too, but like,
literally,
get
like-
mine. Like, we're open, we're honest, like, and that's what I love about us.
So I found the list.
So we're gonna talk about all these things, huh?
Like, can you read the room? Like when someone's like saying like a rude comment to me and you're like giggling and like touching her, like, why would you do that?
There is so much room for improvement in how both Hannah and Nick handle conflict. First, they are not truly listening to each other. They are talking over each other. And this is common because we all have the overwhelming need to feel heard and understood, which often prevents us from setting that need aside just momentarily to really hear our partner. And Nick is minimizing how Hannah feels by dismissing the duck incident as pointless and meaningless. Even when he was talking with Garrett and the guys, he described it as minuscule, but it clearly wasn't minuscule for Hannah. His dismissal invalidates her feelings, which is not helpful in resolving conflict. And Hannah's claim that they are honest with each other doesn't fully hold up. She wasn't honest during the duck incident. She was brushing it off to Nick as it was no big deal for her. And leaving the list out for him to find is not honest, it's passive-aggressive, rather than addressing her concerns directly. She says that she sees things from his viewpoint, but she doesn't articulate his viewpoint to him, which might mean that she really doesn't fully understand, and definitely not acknowledging it to him. This is the insight that I want to share with you about conflict in relationships. Resolving conflict starts with listening, truly listening, not only to respond, but to understand. Both of you need to feel heard and validated, even if you don't agree with each other. But minimizing or dismissing your partner's feelings, that will only damage trust and connection. Okay, that's a wrap on episode 6. And if you found today's tips helpful, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who might find value in these tips. I hope you come back for episode 7. Things are getting more and more intense, which means that there are so many teachable moments. And if you want more tips and insights to strengthen your relationship, go ahead and subscribe. And please know that I appreciate your support, and I do hope that my content supports you in return, because I am so committed to helping you get the fulfilling relationship that you not only want, but that you deserve. See you soon.